morning. Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Taking one for the team.
Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at the stuff. I didn't read it like super in depth, so I'm gonna have to pull it up to like make sure I'm looking at the right reading. But I think we're basically talking about the safety stuff. And so let's see. Okay, so the first question is, imagine you are Merton and it's time for your 9 a.m. meeting with Tevens and Harris. What position would you advocate in that meeting? So it's talking about this Ned Stepanchik. So basically, like what he did was he directed an electrician to repair something, but it put the guy at like a ton of risk, and so the dude like slipped and stuck his hand out and grabbed the wire, I'm guessing, and burned. He had like a 2nd-degree burn and dislocated his shoulder and stuff. And so after like going through all their safety stuff, you know, it's not good. So they're basically like, hey, like Ned has been warned several times. He just hasn't figured it out. So Bert Harris and Kurt Tevens are like wanting to fire him. So the question is just basically like, what did Stepanchik actually do, and how serious was the offense? Is it all his fault? What are the implications for workers, families, supervisors, and senior management if he is fired? So anyway, so what are your guys' thoughts on that? Should he get fired? Should he not get fired?
Dude, I'm lost. Are we? What are we going over again?
This is go to the. It's in the workplace safety reading, like the workplace safety at Alcoa.
Yeah.
I just had to Command F to like find it because I was like, I don't even know.
Well, so, I just was reading it.
That's what I thought.
The Tevens guy.
Yeah. So basically, like the problem is like he's like a good worker. He's liked by like because he's like a supervisor, so
yeah,
he's liked by his people. He has a young family, and he comes from a long line of Alcoans, so it's like a tough thing.
Well, yeah, he like worked really close with like everybody at Mission Valley, so everyone knows him like pretty well to some degree, I guess. But
yeah, so that's like the problem is like, do you fire someone good when like, I mean, he has been warned like repeatedly, and so like that's a problem. But like he's a good worker, people like him. He's been there for a while, so it's like, so basically like the question is just like, what position would you take? Like you have to go in, you're gonna meet with Harris and Tevens, and you got to like take a position on like what you're gonna advocate for.
I don't know. I personally think like if there's a lot of cases where he's been, he's been warned, there's only so many like leeways and so many times you can give out warnings and say, hey, like you need to stop doing that. This is how we handle our business. And the whole thing about like early before, I mean, the whole case starts out how this guy died and they're trying to, shape up their safety policy. I don't know. I personally think like, I don't remember if it said anything about how many times he's been warned, but I would say you'd probably want to get rid of him, even though he may be really good. You can always find someone that also has relatable experience in that field that can also be really good and become a huge asset for the company, but is very straight to the point or very just on point with keeping the rules of the company, I guess.
Yeah. So it also asks us to like look at like the total serious injuries. Like it wants you to like look at the data for like what happened. And so it says like in the case, like it shows like the reasons for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like in 1991 they had 5 injuries with a standard procedure deviation. Like that was the problem. And so like I think this is kind of where that like falls into. I think thing that like was so like it would be one thing if like he himself role, but he like had somebody else do it, and like not just like a little bit, like he got roasted.
Yeah.
So I agree. Like I think like if you're trying to like make the policy like a big deal and people know that safety is like a big deal, then you kind of have to do it. But the things that they want to ask though, was it like, I mean, they just talked about this dude dying, so they obviously saw some safety issues. Like looking through like the exhibit above, like just in August alone, they have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 injuries. And like they're not all serious, but they're
trying to cut it down to 0.
Yeah.
Like that's their goal, is to completely just not even, it shouldn't even be an issue.
Yeah. So, but the question is like, all of his fault, or is part of it like just the general culture in Alcoa? Because like some of the like in your reading of the like workers, like it's all about being tough and whatever, and so they just do things the way they're going to do things. And so, like it's basically just asking us like to examine that too, like with that in mind, like is it really all his fault?
I mean, personally, I don't think in this kind of atmosphere, in this work, in this entire this company, the atmosphere that they're in, I don't think it's really possible to become 100% safe. Because just looking at like the list of things that, like I'm looking at Exhibit 5, where it's basically giving you a list of reasons why people are getting hurt. And I mean, they all seem to be cut down to some point, but some actually like there's not, some of them like the amount of injuries due to that problem will go down, but then all of a sudden it'll spike back up again and then go down again. So it's like something that like it's not a steady continual downslope of like less injuries is what I'm trying to say. So, like I always think something's going to happen regardless of just like things are going to happen within that atmosphere. It's not really something you can prevent to the best of your ability, but something's probably going to happen at some point.
Yeah. Well, there's some that they've like really cut down on, but they're still having, and they've really cut down on standard procedure deviation. And so I think they're making a move in the right direction, but.
Right.
So what do you think? Should they? Yes or no?
I just think if he's breaking, like it sounds like he's kind of breaking protocol, and so I get he's like a very valued person, and they treat him like he's basically considered one of their own, you know. But I feel like if your main goal is to cut down injuries or people from dying, period, and you want that to be down to 0, you need to bring in, I would probably suggest a new guy that is kind of more just wants to actually really achieve that goal and come up with new solutions to create less problems within the company.
Yeah.
And obviously, because you can still find a guy out there that's just as qualified as Tevins or whatever his name is.
Yeah. Chick.
But that's just me personally. That's what I think. So.
Yeah, I think the thing that did it in for this guy was that it wasn't him actually committing the safety violation. He directed someone else to do it, and so it was his supervisor. So he could have known that it wasn't supposed to be done that way, but because it was his supervisor, I think that's the point of why I would say let him go, because he directed somebody else to do something that was against the rules, and then it resulted in an injury. So
there is the thought of people could the guys that he is directing, they still have choices that they need to make if there's a case that they might get hurt. It could be their fault, but ends up going on Tevins. It's kind of blood on his hands just because he's trying to look out for them, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so the next part is just so we're gonna do some data stuff. So
yay.
Yeah. So we need to compare exhibits 3 and 7. Let's see. So compare exhibits 3 and 7 to answer the question, when safety improves, does productivity decrease? So to find that, you take the works total and you take works total and divide it by the total hours, period. So you figure out, you basically just need to figure out how many hours it takes to produce 1 ton. And then figure out the smaller that number, the more productive it is. So we need to look at each period basically.
Okay.
Which is going to be a pain in the butt. So let's see, exhibit 3.
Does it matter if we do that for each year, or is it just for 91?
We're supposed to do it for each year because it should decrease.
Okay.
If there's safety stuff is if we're trying to prove this wrong, then it should decrease. But I'm just gonna throw it in Excel and hope for the best. But
You said it's works total divided by total hours, correct? Okay.
So I'll double check. I can't remember if I flipped those around or not. So it says,
So with like Exhibit 7, it's like the number is getting lower. So I'm assuming is that representing the productivity?
I think so. So it says divide the works total number for each period by the total hours. So let me see. So this is hours. This is total. But I think we're supposed to do it. So maybe we don't have to do it for each year. We just have to do the, yeah, okay. Works total.
602.
I'm confused as to like what you use Exhibit 7 for.
Well, because wait a second here.
Where's that where?
So
Oh, okay.
it looks like when I'm going through these numbers, it's looking like for Exhibit 3, it looks like the number is actually going up.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Because this is saying, for example, in 1987, it was 185.4 divided by 7,400.
And it was 0.025. And then
Yeah, that's
the more you go up, it goes to about 0 point, or it goes 0.027 and then 0.029.
I feel like they're saying it goes the other way. Yeah. So you divide the total hours by the works total.
Okay.
So yeah, so
Maybe that makes more sense because I was
like,
confused.
how the heck did I get 39.9 hours per ton? So then once we get that, so it looks like it kind of goes, because I've got like 39, 37, 36, 35, 33, 31, and then jumps back up to 34.
Yep.
So then we're supposed to look in Exhibit 7 and see if injuries by production department. So they kind of do the same thing. Like they go, so like smelting in 1987 had 19 serious injuries for every 200,000 hours worked. So it goes like 19, 16, 13, 10, 9, 11, and 9. Spikes up the year before when you get to 1991. So okay, so let me see what the question is asking. I don't think we have to do like any sort of weird.
Okay.
With it. Okay, so the number of safety instances, the better. if both numbers go down. So if the did an example 3 or an exhibit 3,
Yeah.
if that number is going down and the
Along with exhibit 7.
yeah. So basically, like if the total or the hours divided by the works total, if that number's going down and the number of safety instances is going down, then that's good. Like you want them to be going down at the same time. But if if they're going up, so basically 1991 hard time because we're going back up.
Yep.
Okay, so the next part is look at Exhibit 5, figure out which injury numbers are improving and which are going up. So Exhibit 5. So we kind of hit on this before. Like, most of them are all decreasing from what they were.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the ones that are getting zeros, like, are still saying they're still staying pretty low for, like, August 1991. So they're, like, getting better. They had some that kind of spiked. But for the most part, they're all coming down. But like improper position is still kind of big. But they have, just between January to August compared to July is like a big difference. But that's also because you're just looking at 1 month. So
yeah, you're not looking at an entire year.
Yeah, so if you just look at 1987 to 1991, then it's going down. All going down. Some of them faster than others, but okay. So
yeah, there's some random spikes in there, but it's generally like altogether it's all going down.
okay, so we were supposed to do this in like groups, but we only have 3 people, so we're just gonna do it all together. But now we're just supposed to look at Exhibit 6 and just go through the list of sample injuries. Look for like common themes or causes. Some of these are not good. A lot of it, like, I don't know. A lot of them just seem like stuff that's going to happen. Like stuff slipping or like it doesn't seem like there's like a ton where it's like this guy was just being an idiot. Like it's like this guy was on top of a crane, lost his footing, caught himself, but then the plunger went in his foot like 2 inches. Going up step, misstep and fell against riser. 2nd-degree burn, right lower arm. Fork truck ran over right foot. So there's like definitely some like instances of like just not paying attention. Like and then like who the person that got injured, most of them are that are like actual equipment at the time.
Yeah.
It's not like someone else. It's like so then so group 1 should discover that as safety goes down, to produce also gets better. Did you think that it would go down, like with better safety? Oh, okay. What was that?
Dude, for some reason, like the video keeps cutting out. Am I lagging at all?
Yeah, like I can see you. The Tory just bounced. So I guess we're doing this just the two of us.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Dude, is your freaking phone right up against the microphone?
Sorry.
It's just like bang. So for me, I didn't think that, like, I wasn't surprised. I've read cases like this before, and I actually read a case about Alcoa like in another class a long time ago. And so I knew that like it had changed their company like drastically. So
yeah.
I mean, so I wasn't really surprised. Um so then it says like groups 2 and 3 should both notice that problems that can be solved by spending money have mostly been solved, which they talked about in the case, like on safety stuff, and then like the safety got better. So the problem that they're still having, like we were kind of talking about, was people just making mistakes, like getting hurt.
Yeah.
So the next question is, do you think it's easier to solve ones that are expensive or ones that involve people's behavior?
Say that again.
So which problems do you think are easier to solve? Like ones where you can spend money to fix it, or ones where you have to change behavior?
Ooh. Well, I feel like it's kind of like a two-edged sword.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it depends. Like, obviously, money can solve certain things just because it's if you have it and you're willing to spend it, it's done. Behaviors are kind of hard to change just because people are going to be the way they are. They're not. It's hard to change a person, especially I don't know, the older they get.
Especially like the field that they're in, like it's like blue collar, like it's like pretty
Right.
manual. So like getting people to kind of change like isn't going to be the easiest, just because like they've been doing it for a long time or their family did it before them. So I think then it just asks like what challenges are they up against, like, and I think that kind of sums it up. Like they've paid the money to fix stuff as best they can, but now they're just kind of a bunch of freaking lumps on a log.
Yeah. Just sounds like a lot of people are getting hurt at this company.
Like looking through the injuries, and I was like, and they're like gruesome. Like the post goes two inches into somebody's foot. Like, but the thing that's crazy, guys have injuries than any of the other
compared
companies.
to the rest of the field, yeah.
And so, like, you can only imagine.
Like, I'm looking at the U.S. average. It is mind-boggling. Because I'm still at Alcoa. They still have a lot of injuries, but it's crazy that it's
Compared
even
to
more in across the country.
Let me see. So they're still off the benchmark. So the benchmark is like 1.08 serious injury rate 1,000 hours. So, I mean, I can only imagine. It's got to be freaking brutal out there.
Yeah.
So then, like, what we're supposed to talk about is just like, what have they done to make improvements, and like, what have they done, and then what specific things have they done that are successful? I think like one of the things that they did like really well was they put teams in place to like figure out why things happen. Like the common problem or like the common thread. They kind of have like pathologists on it, like are saying, "Oh, okay, like this dude ran his foot over. Like, what were the causes of that?" Or like the guy that died, they looked at it and were like, the forklift was going like 15 miles an hour. There wasn't visibility because the metal, like there was like three things that were all like in the noise and everything. And so like the fact that they actually did that rather than just being like, oh, that sucks, like let's not do that again, I think is good. Because then like after that, they like did the speed on the forklifts. What are you laughing at, dude?
Just keep going.
So they're like limited.
I'm laughing because I'm just still I can't get it out of my head about how many injuries and deaths happen at this company. And it's like the craziest injuries.
Just like they're just bad, but I think like obviously something worked if they've been able to decrease it like that drastically. And so I think like one of the things that like has helped them is they've really like made things visible and marked things and everything. I think like something that they have to work on is like time, because like this is still a relatively new development for their company to like have this safety stuff like going so well. I think over time, as they have like workers that are there longer and like new workers come in, generations of workers, then the culture will be set. Like it'll continue to get better. And so like right now they're kind of in that awkward like growing pain of like, oh, we made it as far as we can without changing the actual behavior of people.
Yeah. I mean, they've definitely made it work because, and you see it because I'm like, you take a look at Exhibit 1, for example. I mean, early on in like 79, early 80s, like obviously like they were still beating the industry average across the US. But you look at like how far they've come to when they hit 1990. I mean, they've cut that literally in half, having half less as many injuries as the rest of the field.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously they've made it work. with the goal in mind, having it be completely zero, it's kind of, I don't know, just judging by how long it took them to cut it in half. Maybe maybe they could do it, but I don't see how they could.
I think they would have to I mean, it would take years.
Yeah, because I mean, it took them 11 years to cut it in half.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. If it takes, well, how they cut it in half too had a lot to do with they put $4 million into safety.
Yeah.
So, that's the easy stuff. So, that's the thing is, I think it's going to take twice as long just to cut it in half, and that still doesn't get you to zero. So it's yeah, new workers in there and stuff, and even just new technology that comes out, then it might be safer. So
Yeah.
but then costs um like what what would motivate workers to want to be safer, or how do you convince people to be safer or behave differently? Biggest That's the biggest challenge they have is how do you motivate people individually and then as a whole to be safer? Do you incentivize warehouse or the company that I worked at, which went out of business, by the way? I forgot to tell you about that.
Huh.
Yeah, dude, they just dissolved the company last week.
Wait,
So they're closing
wait,
in
who's
May.
the warehouse you worked for?
Yeah, I worked there for a few years. My dad just got a job working for them again, and they dissolved the company.
What?
Yeah, all the family. So there's family on the board that own it, and they were just yeah, we just want our money, and so they just
They're like, we're done. It's over. Wow.
So what they did was every 6 months that they didn't have a major injury, they had a big lunch thing. They would or smoked brisket, just this cookout lunch. We got an hour lunch, food. That was enough. I mean, it wasn't near as intense as this was. Manufacturing aluminum, but think around because they wanted that or whatever. But I think that still only gets you so far.
Right.
So far, you know. But okay. Um.
You there still? In the world.
You there?
There you are.
Okay, let me.
Holy cow.
That was weird, dude. That just like pieced out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it kept the other one, but I'm not sure. But I think my internet just dropped because like I switched it and then it's been fine. But anyway,
I didn't know if it was you or it was me.
it was probably me. Yeah. So do you like her list of like stuff she wants to do in '92?
Linda's plan for 92.
Did you just search it? Okay. See Exhibit 11 for summary of the plan.
Okay.
Monitor complete. So just yeah, so basically like they incentivize, they conduct more training, they make a reporting procedure, they do a biweekly newsletter, they have better safety committees, and they meet with superintendents on a monthly basis.
Train committee
So-
leaders at crew level.
Yeah.
So basically everyone that's on the floor. They want the
Goes through
committee
training.
to be trained just as well as the rest of the crew.
Yeah. I think like, well, then it just asks like, oh, so it says conduct stage 3 training for all supervisors and lead operators. So I was going to say like the thing that's missing is like they should like in their safety recognition program, they should incentivize supervisors and lead operators. Like, so if their team doesn't have any injuries or whatever, then they should incentivize them too. Like they should incentivize like departments as a whole or whatever, but they should also like incentivize like the supervisors.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So then it just asks like, I don't know. Well, it like asks like to brainstorm ideas for how to change culture and attitudes about safety at Mission Valley. I think like when it kind of says like you could ask whether the fact that almost everyone in the whole town works at Mission Valley creates any opportunities. And then are there ways to involve the community or families? So I don't know what your thoughts are with that, but I think like they have a huge opportunity where everybody basically works there because like they kind of get the community behind like being safer.
Yeah.
Like their dad's at work and you know like they don't want to have injuries, so
Well, I think I don't know if there's like a town committee that gets behind behind this whole safety protocol thing. But I think it'd be also a good idea for, because it's like you said, like a lot of the people from this town work at this factory.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there should be also a town committee that comes up with ways to decrease injuries from happening, just like they do at the company. Like
maybe like trying to make the whole town like make safety a priority in everything else. Whoa. Welcome back, Cruz. Okay, so can you hear me? There you go.
oh, dude, well, this is weird.
I know, dude. We're just about to wrap up anyway, but
Okay.
I think like, well, just like what you were saying, like maybe if like their whole town, the whole thing with the town is just like safety first, then like if they put in measures like in a community to like make it safer, then hopefully like just safety being a big deal all the time will kind of like translate into like the kids that eventually work at Mission Valley or whatever, like they've grown up with like safety being such a big deal that they, you know, when they actually do work there, then they're safer because of it.
I agree.
Okay, cool.
I think that's pretty much all you really can do for, as far as like coming from a community and families.
Yeah, like what else are you supposed to do?
But
But yeah. All right, dude. So I'm not gonna make you do the whole rating thing and all that jazz. So yeah, dude. I guess we'll see you later.
well, how do we end this live video?
I think I just hit stop broadcast on my end,
Go ahead.
and then I just post the link.
Okay, go ahead and hit end broadcast.